Arrival at Outpost Blackthorn. Elara Vance stepped off the shuttle and into the heart of Outpost Blackthorn, her boots hitting the metal floor with a quiet finality. The spaceport hummed with alien voices, clangs of cargo lifters, and the low, constant thrum of the station's generators deep beneath the deck plates. She adjusted the strap on her bag, straightened her posture, and kept her expression unreadable. She knew how she looked to them, a slender, quiet human barely out of Earth's orbital academy, arriving at a war front where only the seasoned and brutal survived. Around her, soldiers from across the galaxy moved with the confident gait of veterans. Towering insectoids from the Valari swarmed a corridor with clattering limbs. A hulking Draxian flexed his plated arms as he barked orders. And there, looming silently near a column of plasma glass, stood a Karnox. 7 feet tall. Muscles like braided steel cables. Burnt obsidian skin beneath dark armor, glowing faintly at the joints. He didn't speak. Just watched. Elara had read about the Karnox, biological apex predators from a death world so hostile it was used as a galactic prison. They didn't form bonds. They didn't talk unless it was about blood. And they never respected weakness. As she passed, the Karnox didn't move. But she felt his eyes track her. Not mocking, not hostile. Just curious. Fresh meat, someone muttered behind her. 2 Valari hissed in amusement. Elara didn't respond. Let them laugh. She hadn't come to impress anyone. The briefing room was chaos. Dozens of new cadets, many of them brash and loud, jostled for seats. Elara sat near the back and listened. Most of the others were focused on flashy weapons, enhanced reflex mods, or kill simulations. She took mental notes. Arrogance, impatience, groupthink. When the commanding officer arrived, a grizzled human colonel with cybernetic eyes, the noise finally died down. "You're not here to be heroes," he growled. "You're here to survive. And if you survive long enough, maybe you'll learn how to lead." Then came the pairing ceremony. Every recruit would be assigned a squad and a combat simulation. Elara was grouped with a Valari duo and a bark-skinned Brol warrior named Thux. None looked pleased. "Humans don't last long out here," Thux said, shrugging his heavy shoulders. "Keep out of the way." Elara nodded. "Noted." The sim dropped them into a mock battlefield, a ruined cargo station crawling with synthetic hostiles. The Valari immediately dashed ahead, trying to flank. Thux charged in a straight line, smashing through barriers. Elara hung back, watching patterns, tracking the enemy AI movements. Within minutes, 2 of the squad were pinned down. Thux roared, but couldn't move without drawing fire. The Valari were stuck, having underestimated the enemy's auto-turrets. Elara crawled through a collapsed ventilation shaft, rerouted power from a damaged panel, and triggered a fake explosion to draw enemy fire away. She slipped into the open and took out a key turret from behind. When the rest regrouped, sweaty and winded, she was already accessing the extraction point controls. "Wait, how did—" Thux started. "I watched," Elara said simply. "And I thought." The sim ended. Scores were displayed. Her team had the fastest successful clear time. No one clapped. But no one laughed anymore, either. Later, in the mess hall, Elara sat alone. Forking rehydrated protein into her mouth, she caught movement from the far side of the room. The Karnox was staring at her again. He walked past her table, slow and deliberate, and for a moment she felt something ripple in the air. A subtle shift in temperature. Pressure. "Wait." He paused. "You do not scream when fire licks your heels," he said, voice deep and jagged like stone cracking. "That is interesting." Then he left. Elara blinked. She hadn't expected anyone to speak to her, much less the Karnox. That night, in her bunk, she couldn't sleep. Not from nerves, but from thought. The way the Karnox had looked at her, not with pity or dismissal, but something sharper. Something watchful. Predators didn't waste time on prey. So why was he watching her? The beast that watches. Training at Outpost Blackthorn was relentless. Each day began with a piercing siren at 0500, followed by grueling drills in high-gravity zones, zero-G combat simulations, and live-fire scenarios in heat-soaked environments barely fit for machines, let alone soldiers. Most recruits complained. Some broke. Elara endured. She wasn't the strongest, or the fastest, but she was always the one still standing at the end. Always watching. Always learning. And still, he watched her too. Tarkann, the Karnox warrior, was a living myth among the recruits. He rarely spoke. When he did, it was short, cryptic, and usually ended arguments before they began. He trained alone, weaponsless, tearing combat bots apart with his bare claws. Other species gave him wide berth. Even commanding officers didn't issue him direct orders, they requested his cooperation. But every few days, without warning, Elara would find him nearby. In the observation room during her drone hacking class. In the upper decks of the Zero-G Bay while she practiced wall movement. At the edge of the tactical sim dome as she directed her squad through another mock ambush. Never intervening. Just standing. Watching. One evening, after a particularly brutal terrain endurance run, Elara sat alone near the cliffside terrace that overlooked the dark, swirling gas giant beneath the outpost. The artificial dusk painted everything in orange hues, shadows long and dramatic. She didn't hear Tarkann approach. No one ever did. "You lead like a whisper," he said. She didn't jump. Didn't flinch. She just glanced over her shoulder. "You keep following me." That's starting to feel like a conversation. Tarkann gave a low sound, something between a growl and a chuckle. "I do not follow. I observe." "Why?" "You are not like the others. You do not flaunt your strength. You do not fear weakness. And yet, you win." Elara turned to face him fully. "You mean I survive?" "No," Tarkann said. "I mean you win. Survival is instinct. Victory is intent." That silenced her for a moment. Most just saw her as lucky. Quiet. Methodical. She never boasted. Never needed to. But here was a creature bred for war, speaking to her not with condescension, but with curiosity. "I'm not special," she said eventually. "I just think before I act." Tarkann tilted his head. "The most dangerous predator on my world walks silently, waits for days, then strikes once. It does not roar." He stepped closer, his presence like a tidal wave of pressure. "The roar is for prey." The moment lingered, tense, but not hostile. Then Tarkann turned, and without another word, walked back into the shadows. Days passed. Tarkann didn't appear again. Elara focused on her final squad exercises, which were being graded for leadership potential. Most teams descended into chaos. Everyone wanted to be the alpha. Her team, diverse and reluctant, began to listen. Slowly. She didn't give orders like a hammer. She laid out options, anticipated outcomes, and let actions prove themselves. They started to follow not out of fear, but trust. Her squad began winning exercises. Again. And again. It was during the final sim, an urban night raid, that everything changed. The scenario: extract a captured operative from a simulated city filled with hostile patrols. The twist: halfway through, the map flooded with rogue AI enemies due to a deliberate glitch. Cadets panicked, scattered, failed objectives. Elara's team stayed low, regrouped fast. She rerouted power through emergency substations, created a blackout zone, and used heat lures to bait drones away. They made it to the target building with only minor injuries. As her squad prepared for extraction, a high-speed mech unit broke through the sim's perimeter. It wasn't supposed to be there. The instructors tried to override it, but the AI had gone rogue. The mech fired. One of her squad was pinned. The others froze. And then, a blur. The mech's arm was torn off in a flash of obsidian claws and fury. Tarkann stood between the squad and the wreckage, blood-like sim fluid splattered across his armor. "Not this one," he growled. Elara stared. "What are you doing here?" "I came to watch," he said. "But when a pack is threatened, the claw moves." Silence fell. The instructors aborted the sim early. No one said a word. Later that evening, as Elara sat alone once more, Tarkann approached, this time slower. "I saw enough," he said. "Saw what?" "You think like a predator. You fight like one. But more importantly, you protect the pack. He knelt, one knee hitting the deck plate with a heavy clang. This is not weakness, he said. This is command. And where you lead, I will follow. Fire over Thorn's edge. The alarms screamed before the lights turned red. Elara dropped her toolkit mid-maintenance, heart hammering as the calm voice of Central Command crackled over the speakers. All personnel to alert stations. Multiple unidentified vessels inbound. Code Delta. This is not a drill. Outpost Blackthorn had always been called a quiet edge post. Remote. Low profile. A place to send rookies and retirees. That illusion ended with the first impact. The entire station trembled as a shockwave hit the hull. A second followed, closer. Then silence. Elara was already moving. She didn't wait for orders. By the time she reached the internal hangar, chaos had bloomed like wildfire. Security teams scrambled for weapons. Civilians herded toward reinforced shelters. Officers barked orders. Too many, too fast. No cohesion. No clear leader. But Tarkann was already waiting. He stood near the hangar's reinforced viewport, watching the blackness of space. Fires flickered along the edge of the orbital field. 3 ships, pirate marks and retrofitted dreadnought engines, circled like vultures. You knew, Elara said, approaching. He didn't turn to her. I smelled the blood coming days ago. You felt it too. She nodded. There'd been whispers. Patrols had gone dark. Comms flickered. Scanners caught shadows, then lost them. Elara had logged her suspicions. No one took them seriously. They'll target the power cores, she said. Cut systems. Board fast. Take prisoners. Tarkann finally looked at her. Then we strike faster. Another explosion rocked the corridor behind them. Lights flickered. The enemy had landed. Elara didn't have authority, but she had trust. Her squad gathered at her signal. Half of them weren't even from her division, just stragglers who'd seen her in the Sims, heard the rumors, or simply didn't know where else to go. A Brol demolitions tech, a quiet Valari sniper, 2 human engineers, and Tarkann. That was it. You don't have to follow me, Elara said, voice steady. I won't order you. But I know where they'll hit next. And I know how to slow them down. The Brol grinned, checking his grenades. Good enough for me. They moved fast. The station's lower decks were already overrun. Pirates in exo-rigs, patched armor, and unfamiliar insignias moved like they owned the place. Elara's team ducked through maintenance shafts, hacked door locks, and rerouted corridor access. They planted traps, pulse mines, fire suppressants rigged to explode, decoy signals. It wasn't about fighting toe-to-toe. It was about bleeding the enemy dry. In one corridor, Tarkann ambushed a squad, tearing through them like a living shadow. In another, Elara lured a mech unit into a collapsing maintenance tunnel. Every move was precise. No wasted action. Still, the station was losing. Command couldn't hold. Central systems were compromised. And worse, the pirate flagship was now descending to dock. Elara stood in the auxiliary control chamber, staring at the holomap. Red indicators flooded the screen. The main reactor was next, and if they took it, they could reroute power to their ships, turning Blackthorn into their refueling hub. We have to destroy the fusion intake, Elara said. The others stared at her. That'll cripple the station, said the Valari. And deny them everything, she replied. We evacuate the lower decks. Set charges. We blow the intake before they stabilize the conduit. Tarkann stepped forward, eyes glowing faintly. You are asking us to burn the den, he said. I'm asking us to keep them from making it their own. The room fell silent. Then Tarkann nodded. You lead. I follow. The final push was brutal. Her team split into pairs, navigating collapsing walkways, smoke-choked vents, and enemy reinforcements. They reached the intake just as the pirate engineering crew began stabilizing their cables. Combat erupted in the tight chamber. Tarkann roared through the chaos, his claws a blur. Elara darted through cover, planting charges, setting timers, calling out enemy positions. A stray shot hit her shoulder, burned, but not deep. She grit her teeth and finished arming the last detonator. Everyone out, now. They ran. Tarkann was the last through the breach, shielding her as the hallway lit up in white light behind them. The explosion tore through the conduits. The pirate systems went dark. Their ships, cut off from power, drifted into the planet's gravity well. One by one, they burned. The station held. Barely. Rescue fleets arrived hours later. By then, the damage was done, but so was the legend. Cadets whispered about the rookie who led the charge. Officers who had doubted her were silent. In the aftermath, while she rested in the infirmary, Tarkann sat beside her bunk. "You led them into fire," he said. "And they followed." Elara looked at him, weary but steady. "Because they had someone at their side who never backed down." Tarkann bowed his head. In Karnox law, when a warrior sees truth in another's fire, he swears the oath. Life for life. Path for path. Elara didn't answer right away. Then, softly, she said, "Then I hope you're ready, Tarkann. Because I'm not stopping here." He growled in satisfaction. "Then neither am I." The Predator's oath. The wreckage of Outpost Blackthorn floated in low orbit, half-lit by the glow of the nearby gas giant. Scars marred its structure, collapsed decks, burned panels, fractured hangars, but it still stood. And it had survived something no one thought it could. Just like its unlikely defenders. Elara stood at the edge of the rebuilt command deck, staring through the massive viewport. Below, cleanup crews cleared debris. Small repair drones darted like insects across hull seams. Official inspections had begun. Reports were filed. Commendations were pending. But she hadn't come here for medals. She came to think. The door behind her hissed open. She didn't need to look. "You walk like you carry weight now," she said, a faint smile on her lips. Tarkann approached slowly. "I walk in the shadow of one who earned fire." She turned to him. He wasn't in armor now, just a dark utility harness strapped across his massive chest. Even without the plating, he looked dangerous. But something in his eyes had changed. Less watcher. More equal. "I heard the Council's assessment," she said. "They're not thrilled. They prefer hierarchy. Predictable bloodlines. Legacy titles." His voice rumbled like distant thunder. "You threaten that. Because I'm human. Because you were nobody, and yet you commanded." Elara sighed. "I didn't ask for command." "No," Tarkann said, stepping closer. "You earned it when it mattered most." There was silence between them for a while, filled only by the low hum of station power and distant chatter over the intercom. Then Tarkann reached into a pouch and drew out a small, curved piece of bone, etched with deep grooves, inlaid with blackened steel. He held it out with both hands. "I give you my spine claw," he said. "The oath token of my kind." She stared at it, stunned. "I don't understand." "In Karnox tradition, this is given to one we follow beyond clan, beyond war." "It is not a gesture," he said. "It is vow. I am not your ally. I am not your subordinate. I am yours." Elara's fingers closed around the bone, rough and cold. She held it like it might vanish. "Are you sure?" she asked. "This path, it's not over. It might get worse." "I do not follow paths for comfort," he said. "I follow because I see truth. And I have never seen it burn so clearly as it does in you." A long breath left her lungs. Not from fatigue, but from the slow realization of what this moment meant. Not just to her. To everyone watching. The promotion ceremony was small. Just a handful of officers, some from Earth's fleet, others from species she still couldn't pronounce properly. A few of her surviving squadmates were there, quiet, proud. The Admiral's voice was clipped and formal as he handed her a silver badge. "By order of the Coalition Council and Emergency Defense Command, you are hereby assigned to Lead Task Unit Echo 9. You'll be given discretion to select your personnel and mission scope. Effective immediately." Elara didn't speak. She nodded, saluted, and stepped down. At the back of the room, Tarkann stood tall, silent, and unmoving. No one stopped her as she walked to him. "This isn't just about one station anymore," she said quietly. There are more out there. More threats. Places no one's watching. He nodded. Then we watch. She looked up at him. Are you ready to follow orders from a human, Karnox? Tarkann gave her that faint, unreadable expression again. Half snarled, half amused. I swore to follow you, not your species. She grinned. Then let's start something no one's ready for. Weeks later, the newly christened Vigilant, a hybrid patrol vessel, cobbled from salvaged Blackthorn tech and retrofitted engineering, launched into deep space. Its crew, a hand-picked mix of outcasts, misfits, and survivors from half a dozen species. At its helm stood a human rookie once laughed out of command halls. At her side, a Karnox warrior who had never bowed to anyone. Together, they headed into the unknown. Not to conquer, but to change what the galaxy believed about strength. And somewhere, in the silence between stars, predators stirred. But now, they weren't hunting her. They were watching her lead.